How can I plan for a retirement that's at least 25 years away? That's the question we're going to deal with in this video. Let's say, for example, somebody is 42 years old. You can see, you can probably get a lot closer than you might think of what you might have at retirement. Let's say you currently have 65,000 saved up. Say you can save $350 a month and you increase that by 3% a year. You figure right now your expenses are $5,500 a month. If you retire at age 67, that's 25 years from now. That 5,500 is going to grow. We're going to use an inflation rate of 3%. So you're going to need 11,516. Now, you're also going to get Social Security. You're going to say, well, how in the world am I going to know what that is? Well, actually, Social Security gives us a tool. Let me show you what it is. If you go to ssa.gov and type in Quick Calculator or Quick Calc, this is going to show up. And all you need to do is type in your date of birth. We're going to assume the person is 42 years old today. I'm recording this on April 3rd of 2025. I'm going to say it's born in 1983, which would make him 42 years old today. I'm going to say he makes $70,000 a year. And if you scroll down there just a little bit farther, it says select to see your benefit estimate in today's dollars. So we're going to go ahead and submit this request. Here's what will come up. Date of birth, April 3rd, 1983. Current earnings, $70,000. We're going to see it in 2025 dollars. And at age 67 in 2050, he'll get 2,491. Let's remember that number, 2,491. Let's go back to our spreadsheet. So we're going to enter 2,491. And what's nice about Social Security, it will increase. This is what it tells you right now, but it's going to increase by the COLA. And this year, the COLA was 2.5%. So we're just going to run that for the next 25 years. That seems to be the realm somewhere between 2.5 and a little bit above that. So we're going to go ahead and run the numbers. And I want you to notice something, folks. Given these numbers, what we've done is plugged in the numbers for every single year for the last 100 years, both the good decades and the bad decades, even the decades of the 1930s, which was horrible. We're going to go ahead and see how the numbers would have worked out if you have this 25 years from now, you start getting the returns. Where would you be in the worst case scenario? I want you to notice, folks, in the worst case scenario, if he'd retired at age 67, which is 25 years from now, he would not run out of money. This is the actual 25-year graph right here, or spreadsheet. Let me go down and show you. At the end of 25 years, he will have had $804,000 saved up. This is in the worst case scenario for the next 25 years, using the returns for the last 100 years. You can see going through here some of the other amounts you might have. The worst 5%, 881,000. The median for the next 25 years, given these numbers, would be 1.332 million. The highest would be 5 million. So the range would be anywhere from 804,000 to 584,000. That's when you start taking out this 6,898. Because again, our expenses have grown to this because of inflation. So Social Security will grow because of the COLAs you get to 4,618 at age 67. We're looking at age 67 here. So you're going to need 6,898 from your nest egg, and you can see it right there. And then instead of adding to it, now you're starting to withdraw. So that's why it's going down here. And we're going to go ahead and look at this a little bit differently here. Go back up here. Let's go ahead and look at some more observations here. Age 67, you have no problem. What happens if he wants to retire at age 66? A year earlier, still no problem. You have 24 years for this money to grow instead of 25, but you're still going to have, after 24 years, you're going to have 669,000 in the worst case scenario, with the median being 1.335. Let's go to age 65. Now we've got some issues in the worst case scenario because you've had less time for this money to grow and you're starting to withdraw 2 years earlier. So what would you have after 23 years? You'd have 571,000. Again, this is the worst case scenario, folks. If you had worst case scenario in the next 25 years after you retire, or the years after you retire, you would actually start withdrawing this 6,000 or 7,044 from your nest egg, and you would run out of money in 20 years. That's the worst case scenario if you took it at age 65. Uh, the worst 5% of the time, and again, in the last 100 years, you'd run out of money in 27 years. The worst 10% of the time, you'd run out of money in 34 years. Well, if you're already 65 when you retire, that gets you to 99, age 99. 99% of the, or 90% of the time, you wouldn't run out of money by age 99. Let's go to age 64 here. Again, what we're looking at is this row right here. This shows you when you run out of money. Again, this is the worst case scenario in the last 100 years. This is the worst 5%, worst 10%, and so on. You can see the median. You have all kinds of money left. Let's go to age 64. Again, we're talking about a 42-year-old. Now these numbers are getting a little bit lower because you're retiring earlier. You're having less time for this to grow, less time for your Social Security. You're no longer getting 100% of it. At age 64, you're getting 80% of it. See that? Instead of getting the 4288, which is what it would grow to by age 67, you're not taking it at 67. You're only getting it at age 64. So you're getting 80% of that, which would be 3,431. How about age 63? Now it's getting less and less. If you just would work for the next 20 years and retire at age 62, in the worst case scenario, you'd run out of money in 7 years. The worst 5% of the time, again, this in the last 100 years, you run out of money 8 years. At worst 10%, 9 years, and so on. The median, you're going to be just fine in almost every scenario. In fact, let's go down here and see where the median would look like when you start withdrawing. There you can see the reds going through there. Looks like the median you'd run out of in year 47. So you're not going to have any problem. Just the median. Again, the median is what you'd have half the time. You'd have more than that. Half the time you have less than that, given these numbers, using the numbers from the last 100 years. So hopefully this makes sense to you. Folks, that's what we do on this channel. We just love running numbers for people. We're kind of unique that way. I don't think there's any other channel that actually creates spreadsheets to show you stuff, show you these kind of financial concepts, and see how they would actually work out using numbers for the last 100 years. Please consider subscribing and sharing this channel with others. Please like the video, and thanks so much for watching.